Wow, what a way to come back to live streams, right? I mean, like, this is some pretty big freaking news. I'm live, right? Let's see here. There we go. What a delay on what I'm looking at. I apologize for that for just a second. So yes, this is an amazing story. Let me tell you about it. But first, since it's been a minute since we've done some live streams, I want to gift some memberships. Hold on here. And by the way, every time I open up the live stream to subscribers, without fail, I regret it because of some jerk in the comments. Let's see here. So that's why I don't do it very often. So if you feel bad I don't have more subscriber streams, it's, oh, thank you, X-Men Superfan. It's because some people are just really jerks. I'm going to do 20 memberships because it's been a while. All right, here we go. 20 memberships. Hooray! All right, there we go. So we have a lot to discuss, but let me tell, oh, thank you, Emilio. Okay, so yes, because this is such a big story, I wanted to open it to subscribers so that you could ask me questions, so that we could convey the excitement of the moment. I mean, wow, we are back, baby. And you know, I gotta tell you, some people are like, why are people making such a big deal about a movie that didn't perform as well as we had hoped? Well, that's the thing. It's so slow right now and so bad that Superman is king of the tiny mountain. His box office is better. We're so thirsty for news that this is like, oh, it's like, thank goodness. You know, it's like we're in a major drought of awesomeness. And so you're like, I'll take it. So yes, this was announced. James Gunn made this announcement at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's only 9:45 a.m. Pacific. So they just woke up in Tinseltown. And I was about to film my Conjuring review. My eyes are doing okay. Not great. I just put some drops in before we filmed. And so I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing out of this eye. But that's okay. We're going to make it work. All right. So anyway, I got a tip. Not going to say anything else about the details. But I got a tip 10 minutes before the news dropped that it was going to drop. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just heard there was going to be a big announcement. And I was like, well, it must be a pretty big announcement, right? And it was. It was a really big announcement. So we have a lot of stuff to discuss. I have my own chapter time, so we're going to go through a couple of my points, and then I'll open it up to you guys. I had something special planned today for the live stream, and instead I'll move that to tomorrow. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, it's that same person. You know, I felt bad. I was going to hide that person from the channel permanently, and I was like, don't do that. So and I didn't, and I regret it. So there we go. 24-hour timeout. Okay. Here we go. Let's go through it. Where are my chapter times? All right, here's what I want to discuss. Boom, baby! Boom! Woohoo! So let me get my arrow. As you can see, we have plenty to discuss. Only a little image and a date and a title, but yet it gives us so much to discuss. All right, so yes, he made this announcement. Here's the social media post. It went out on all his socials. And all he said was Man of Tomorrow. He'll just call it Superman 2. Thanks, Marty. Man of Tomorrow in theaters July 9th. 2027. So we're going to go through all that. All right. So let's start. Well, actually, let's get James Gunn in here. Right there he is. Woo. Okay, man, this guy's a machine. So let's talk about first off the title, Man of Tomorrow. It's obviously an extremely important title when you think about the history of the character. Not only is it I think maybe people most know it as, it's not only like a nickname for the character, but Alan Moore used it beautifully in a comic called Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And we know that James Gunn really pulls from the comics. I don't think he's going to pull from this one, though, because it was about how Superman, was hiding in plain sight, had retired, was married to Lois Lane, And Lois Lane is telling his final days is a story to a Daily Planet reporter. So that was really cool. So I like that. And then also, of course, it's been a subtitle for the comics for quite some time. So it's like Children of the Atom. If you wanted to call the X-Men something like that, you would call them Children of the Atom or something like that. Atom, not Adam. We're all children of Adam and Eve, I guess, right? So, yeah, and it's like, that's right, Austin. Supergirl was going to be called Woman of Tomorrow. I don't know if they're still calling it that or not. But, and for, it can't keep this totally. It's too long of a title for metadata. And I think that James Gunn knows this, so it will basically be Superman 2. But Man of Tomorrow is really nice, okay? But so let's talk about what that could potentially mean. Now, are they going to be working together? I know a lot of us were surprised that he was going back with Lex. We were like, more Lex Luthor already, considering the plethora of rogues that Superman has to go through. Some of you were like, what about, like just before we were like, maybe now we don't want Brainiac. And he's like, you're not getting Brainiac, don't worry about it. You're getting more Nicholas Hoult. I mean, I loved Nicholas Hoult in the role quite a bit. But look at this. This is something that Jim Lee did just for this announcement. Why is Superman holding this, screwdriver? What's he doing? Is he threatening to take the suit apart, or did he help him build it? But I thought, he seems like it's very teasing. It's like playful. That to me was pretty interesting. So yes, that's right. At the end of the Superman movie, and if you haven't seen it at this point, it's not my fault. Lex Luthor is arrested. However, perhaps there is some incident that happens that would require Superman and Lex Luthor to work together. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Well, I think there are a lot of things that could potentially do that, but what if it would be Zod, right? I mean, think about his parents, and as I said in my coverage, I thought what was interesting was that Zod would in fact be the son that his parents had maybe always wanted. Who actually maybe, thank you, Nurse Brad, who maybe, carries out what they sent, maybe that's what happens. Maybe Brainiac would work as well. Some kind of threat from Superman's home world where, Lex Luthor is needed, right? I mean, he's a long way, so we're not quite there yet. But yeah, so I think that's interesting. It could be Brainiac. It could be, I like the idea of Zod. I like it being, someone who was doing what was needed. I mean, I haven't heard anything. This is just my idea. But I think it kind of works. And I think Zod has a history of being the focus of Superman movies and sequels. And, I think that, that's right, Mark. I mean, Zod getting along with Jor-El, I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, also, if they do the thing where Brainiac comes from Krypton, like they did on the animated series, that would work. But I don't know. I think they did such an important thing, okay? It's interesting to see that Aaron Pierre reposted this, but he might just be supportive of DC. We don't know if this Green Lantern is going to show up or not. But I think, it's such a big change to the canon to make this change to Clark's parents that I think it would be worth pursuing. And Lex Luthor is the one who discovered it, by the way. Superman, bad or good, would never have known it if not for Lex Luthor. And, that's the only reason I can think, by the way, that's a good point. If it was just Brainiac, Lex wouldn't need his battle suit. But if they needed to fight Zod, then he would need a battle suit. I'm trying to think of the context for why Lex would need a battle suit. So, so that's where my mind went. Okay, and then that would also mean more Bradley Cooper, and no one's going to complain about that. All right, let's talk about the battle suit. Man, I hate this thing. I'm not a fan of the battle suit. I've always hated when Lex Luthor put this on because I thought it made him not Lex Luthor anymore. The whole point of Lex Luthor is that he's not Superman. He has other skills. So he'll certainly have come a long way from calling out commands to the computer to have someone else do his punches. Now he can throw them himself. So, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting way to phrase that, to frame it, right? Like, actually get into the fight yourself, Lex, with a battle suit. No more calling out plays from the sideline. So that's not a bad idea. And what was that country? Whatever the fake country that he came up with, the battle suit that he had Ultraman wearing was pretty close to what maybe eventually the battle suit could be. So that's interesting. So hold on, I want to get these pictures because they're important to this. So let me go get them. I forgot to upload them. All right, where is it? There we go. All right, this one. And there's one more. Oh, thank you. The Hammer of Baravia. So stupid. Okay. All right. So this is an issue of All-Star Superman, and I talked about this before when they even sent Lex to prison. And I talked about this for Peacemaker potentially. I liked the idea of carrying out this sequence from All-Star Superman, which is highly influential to James Gunn, which we know, where as Clark Kent, he goes to visit Lex Luthor in prison. And there's that really great line, you can see Lex working out there at the bottom saying that's real muscle, that he had to work for that wasn't just given to him by his Kryptonian alien DNA. And, that's interesting, to show. I think that would be a great sequence, and I could see some really interesting things happening here. I want more Clark Kent. I'd love to see him go to Belle Reve and interview Lex Luthor. And I think this is a really interesting aspect to All-Star Superman that hasn't been utilized yet. And so this is a way, go there and recruit him. Go to Belle Reve and recruit Lex Luthor. I think it would make for a really great sequence. All right, so, oh yeah, I did have that. I didn't have the pictures uploaded, so I just spoke about that. Hold on, where's my arrow? Where's my arrow? All right, so that was the All-Star Superman comic element. I see a lot of you saying that there's queer baiting going on. Let's see. I thought that James Gunn played into that a little bit with the "You're not my type" line. But I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if they can, I think that element is very small, but I did say that I did think that I wouldn't be surprised in my review if Lex was closeted, because of how little interest he paid to his romantic interests, to the point that they almost seemed like beards. I'm not saying he has to be into Superman, but I did feel that element was slightly there. And also there are some, like Peter Thiel. There are some it's a type, I think, in the gay community of these like hyper-focused, career-oriented men. Yeah, so I think it would work. I think it would work, and I think it would be interesting. So we'll see what they decide to do. But yeah, so let's see. So that's what I wanted to discuss in this first segment. I guess I might as well say it. I'm deciding whether or not I want to bring in the other villains picture. I might as well. Hold on. Let me get rid of this battle suit in the computer. All right, so he had a lot of other villains to pick from. So it is weird that they're like, and now more Lex Luthor. And you're like, but what about all these characters you could have picked? That's right, the Crumble Cookie CEO also would fit that mold. That's funny. I think there are a lot of villains that could be chosen from, but that's not to say they couldn't necessarily show up in secondary roles. Right? But there are, I gotta tell you, Superman's Rogues Gallery is okay. He doesn't have the most amazing Rogues Gallery out there. Livewire is pretty interesting. I think we all think Bizarro has been set up by sending Ultraman through that black hole. I think we all immediately were like, Bizarro is gonna come at some point. Parasite, then of course someday Doomsday. Darkseid, although Darkseid is so heavily invested with Snyder. Let's see and we know that Gunn loves Mr. Mxyzptlk or whatever, but I think that would be awfully silly. I don't know, but James Gunn does love silly. All right, so let's talk about this release date. Let me get rid of some of these images here. All right. Okay, so he has picked a release date of July 9th, 2027. That is fast. It is meant, obviously, to mimic their other release date, which did quite well for them, July 11th, 2025. It's almost exactly 2 years later. They are seeing what works for them and they're going with it. Now, there's only one little problem here, and that's that A Quiet Place 3 is already set on that date. It's going to have to move. And boy, Paramount just got started. And look what happened. They've already lost one of the few dates that they have set. But, that's going to have to move. Superman ain't going to move. And so that's tough. But, the 2027 is still pretty far out. So there's not that many movies dated, interestingly enough. Like August, totally empty. But here's what's interesting. I can't believe that one of these hasn't moved. I can't imagine this will hold. But you do have two very friendly, family films. Spider-Verse, the next Spider-Verse movie, and Shrek 5 coming out at the end of June. That's not great, I think, for Superman. I think it's going to hurt with the family audience a little bit, particularly Spider-Verse. And Shrek should be huge. I'd be a little nervous about being so close to those two, but Shrek's already moved once. Maybe it'll move again. You want to counter? FC Super says, why don't we counter program with A Quiet Place? No, you'd have to counter program with something that was very female friendly. I think that's how that works. It would have to be a Barbie type movie or The Devil Wears Prada. Something like that. I wouldn't do that with A Quiet Place. And then there is a to-be-determined Disney movie, which I'd assume would be a Marvel movie, set for the end of the month, once again, for the Comic-Con weekend. I hope they don't do a repeat of what happened this last year. There's no Marvel movie set for this year just yet in that space. There's obviously the two Avengers movies that are set, but there's nothing else that's specifically set, although Disney is holding this date. But it is a Comic-Con weekend. But I wouldn't want to have another situation where we do Shrek 5, Superman, and then a Marvel movie. It would just be ridiculous. Please don't do this again. But we'll see. But that's what's currently set right now. Yeah, what if it was X-Men? Please don't do it. Don't do it. Please, let's not make the same mistake. Because Superman won this battle, so I wouldn't want to be, although, no, technically Jurassic World Rebirth actually won. Now, yes, some people are pointing out, hey, wait a minute. Another movie from DC comes out in 2027, and that would be Batman Part 2. There's the Bat script, as I wrote in my notes. There's the Bat script. This is set for October 1st, 2027. There's Batman. And I think this comes out now before. James Gunn will have released 2 Superman movies in the time that it has taken Matt Reeves to make one. Although Matt Reeves, of course, as I've said, has been dealing with some personal issues that are very serious. So, of course, I think that's one of the reasons that he's gotten a lot of leeway. And hey, nobody's going to complain as long as it's good, right? So it does create a world's finest summer, no, Supergirl wouldn't count, Mystic, because that's not James Gunn's actual movie. Craig Gillespie is directing that, and James Gunn didn't write or direct it. He is producing it, though. But yeah, so that's 2 major movies, and that's right. These are between the 2 Avengers movies, right, that are now December 2026 and December 2027. There's supposed to be a pretty sexy Marvel sandwich in the middle of that. Not a DC one, but I mean, maybe why not do it that way? But I think that, it will be nice to see those 2 movies come out the same year. I mean, that'll be great for marketing perspective, to have a Batman and a Superman movie same year. I think that's very exciting. Although I have to say, I want to merge. I've been a big, I believe we're being called merge bros. I'll take it. I have been a card-carrying merge bro from since day one. As early as you could be a merge bro, I was there. However, I've seen and even James Gunn mentioned Brendan Sklar or Yellowstone or whatever, and that just made us all very scared, because Brendan, whatever his name is, while I think he's a great actor, I don't want him as Batman. But the internet, who also is the one who suggested David Corenswet, has found a good alternate Batman. This man, named, interestingly enough, Nate Mann. Good Lord, is that Batman? I'm shocked how much that looks like Batman. In fact, he looks so much like Batman That would scare the crap out of me if I were Robert Pattinson. Oh, Brendan Sklenar, thank you. I mean, he looks really good. I mean, this guy looks so much like Batman, it looks like he leapt off of the comic book page. That's how good he looks. He looks so good that this would make me totally forget about Matt Reeves' Batman and be like, I'm all in. So I think he's supposed to look like Corenswet. Batman and Superman always look very similar. However, there's supposed to be enough of a difference that they're still different. And Nate Mann has a much more of an aristocratic look. He looks really good. I don't think they could have Batman competing franchises. I think Matt Reeves would have to wrap it up. But, let's see. I mean, if Matt Reeves won't merge, then I'm going to tell him to wrap it up. But Nate Mann looks good enough that I was like, okay, we don't have to merge. Looks really, really good. All right. Well, you guys like a poll? Let's do a poll. Who's a merge bro and who isn't? How do you feel about Gunn and Reeves merging? I'm a merge bro. And then never. And then for the right Batman, Gunn, for the right actor, Gunn can have his, don't have enough space. Gunn, one second. Gunn Batman with right actor. Okay. There you go. By the way, I mean, anyone could technically be in the chat if they just hit the subscribe button, but anyone can vote in a poll, even if you don't want to hit the subscribe button. But why wouldn't you? It's just a little click. Okay. So, yeah, Nate Mann looks great. I mean, let's put him next to David Corenswet. Oh my God, it's amazing. That is amazing. My God, that looks good. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, that would really scare me if I were Robert Pattinson. I'd be calling up Matt Reeves being like, you got to merge this man before I lose out on this. So can they really make a movie that quickly? They sure can. I looked up how quickly Superman was made, and it worked. James Gunn really moved fast on this. So Superman, this one went into production in February 29th, 2024, like some kind of Superman anniversary of some sort, and then finished filming July 30th, 2024, almost a year in advance of its release. He can do it again. He can film early February, early 2026, finish a year out, and do the whole thing again. I mean, if Gunn can have that kind of, I really liked his Superman movie, as many of you know. If he can maintain that level of quality and move that quickly, that would make him incredibly valuable. I don't know, it's tough. Marvel maintained an incredible level of quality for a decade and then totally had the wheels fall off. But that's amazing that if he could move that fast. That would just be absolutely amazing. I hope it's not. I don't think he's using AI. Don't say that, Black Cat, because you don't know. You're just saying that. But that's amazing. So yeah, Superman, the model is there. He hasn't written the script yet, so he broke his own rule already. That is one thing that we gotta say it. We gotta say it. He already broke his own rule because he only has the treatment done. Now, he does, in his defense, write apparently very thick treatments that have dialogue in them and everything. But he hasn't actually written the script. He's written the treatment with all of the dialogue, with a substantial amount of the dialogue. So, but here's the thing. I don't care. You don't have to have the script ready to greenlight it. But don't say that that's what you do. Because, why fire shots at other productions if you're not even going to do it? That's right. This is great news for the cast, especially for David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. I hope they get paid a little bit more because they both made under $1 million for the first movie. I hope that David Corenswet at least gets $1 million. He should get $3 million. He should have gotten $3 million for the first movie. I hope to God he's not already locked in for his salary on the sequel. Hopefully, maybe he can pull Jennifer Lawrence and just not show up to work. He's too nice to do that, though, I think. Okay. Next up, why do it so quickly? Right? Let's talk about that. All right, so the Superman box office. Hold on, I'll bring up the number so you guys can have the visuals. That's what it currently is. 611. It's slowed down substantially. It's not going to get much higher than this. Maybe it could get to 620, 625, 630 tops. But I mean, it's already on digital. It's not going to get any higher than this. But I think you have to look at the context of the year. So here's 2025 so far. I'll be back. Where's my freaking arrow? All right, hold on. All right. Here's Superman. It's technically at number 6 because Naza 2 is in here, and I don't really know if I trust this number. But here it is. It didn't do particularly well overseas, but look, you can see that it's crazy. Weapons has the same thing, real lack of overseas appeal. But, almost 60% domestic. That's the wrong way. It's supposed to be the other way around. But yeah, so it's still, though, it's higher than Mission Impossible. It's close, but it's right with F1 and Mission Impossible. That's not bad considering this movie has 0 star power. Superman has no star power, whereas we've got Brad Pitt. He's sandwich. Boy, who wouldn't love to be in a Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise sandwich, right? Talk about yummy. And look, he's way over Fantastic Four and Captain America and Thunderbolts. Substantially over. He's $100 million over Fantastic Four, $200 million over Captain America, and, also like 250 more. That's funny, Mystic, to say Gunn is the star. He, to some degree, might be. He certainly made the most off of the movie. So, yeah, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's not great compared to some previous movies, but, Superman looks good. All right, so you'd certainly, with that box office, you would certainly make one more. You'd certainly make one more at least, all right? So that leads me to my next point, and that is he also, no, hold on, I'm not done. Wait, I want to bring these other comparisons, just so you have them, okay? So yes, the Batman did over, like he did like 100, and almost like 170 more. That's a lot more. But, ideally I said I would have liked to have seen it finish somewhere around here. I mean, at least it finished with the 6 in front of it. We all thought it was going to have a 5 in front of it. So at least it got the 6 in front of it. But, I think it's close enough that you could be like, okay. It's not as good as Man of Steel, but Man of Steel got a sequel. Man of Steel also got a sequel, which is BVS. But so it's not as good. It's not as good, but it is what it is. But then here, Batman Begins. We've talked about this, the Batman Begins argument. Batman Begins, look, it only made $375. Good Lord, it has a 3 in front of it. And yet it's 2 sequels, 2 of them both made $1 billion. So if James Gunn maybe actually put some action in this new movie, maybe his will do better. But there's no doubt about it. We've given him a little bit of a pass. So the hope is that, but he's got to deliver for the sequel, or at least stay that far ahead of Marvel. So he's got to deliver. The sequel has to be substantially better. I'm glad you guys like my glasses because my eyes are not doing great. So they'll probably be back later today for that Conjuring review. So I think the box office, it's okay. It's not where I would want it to be, but I would greenlight a sequel. Especially because that's my next point. Oh, sorry, I'm covering up James Gunn's face. Let's move him over a little bit. Yoink. All right, he's got to keep this thing looking like it has a future. He has some big projects coming up. He has Peacemaker, which is currently airing. Although, I'm starting to suspect that perhaps the big surprise at the end might be Creature Commandos live action. I've seen some people say that, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And that, although I continue to be very impressed with the lack of leaks out of James Gunn's DC. Marvel has a really leaky ship. Good Lord. They're like swimming around in Swiss cheese over there. But, James Gunn really wanted to get rid of leaks, and he's done an excellent job on that. That and his speed are two of the greatest things that James Gunn has done to this point. I'm talking about movies, Elliot. I'm only talking about movies right here. Of course, actually, I do have Peacemaker there. But yeah, the fact that James Gunn is moving very quickly and that there's no leaks is amazing. All right, so anyway, he's got Peacemaker coming up. He has Supergirl, of course, and Clayface. And he really needs his universe to look like it has a future. I mean, if there was no big movie on the horizon, we'd just be saying, oh, Warner Brothers doesn't have any confidence. I mean, I'll be honest with you. That's what I'd be saying. I'd be saying Marvel is waiting. What are they waiting on? They're waiting on Supergirl, I guess. And also, if he didn't have the sequel, it would make Peacemaker look awful. It would make it look like, and I don't know, I'm worried about Peacemaker's viewership numbers. And it's so funny because James Gunn got really angry with me back in the day because I said that the first season of Peacemaker was niche, and that's what made him really upset. But, I mean, let's see. I mean, it hasn't hit Nielsen just yet, but, it didn't trend. I mean, to be fair, I don't think Alien Earth is doing particularly well either. But, I do think that while Peacemaker is niche, it is a niche. But I still think it has a strong fan base. However, I think that Supergirl and Clayface and Lanterns will do much better. I hope they will. But I feel much stronger about those projects. But that's the name of the game here. You have to instill confidence. Oh, yeah, I have to close this poll. Thank you. All right, so the poll is 56% of you are Merge Bros. I appreciate that. I think our numbers have grown. 25% of you are like, with the right actor, maybe we could do it. And then only 18% of you, although only 18% in the stream, say never. Never, 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 never. I think it's interesting that everybody's moving to the merge camp. That's very good. All right. But again, Nate Mann would make me totally change my position. Okay. Although I guess to some degree, that's right. You could argue that it's still 50-50. James Gunn, it's not an easy job. The DC fandom is extremely divided, and that's always been a problem for them because they've been around for so long. But yeah, he needs this movie. He needs Superman 2 to make it look like his universe has a future. And for him to give him something to talk about. What is his next? James Gunn should always be making a DC movie, especially considering the way he set himself up. So he should always be working on a DC project. And if he's not, then what's the problem? And I mean, it would either be that they have a problem with the universe or they had a problem with him, or maybe it was both. So they got to have something that he's working on. Maybe they'll bring the budget down a little bit or keep it where it is and have more action. Oh yeah, and I already did the Batman Begins argument. All right, then the last thing I want to talk about is what about the supporting cast? Here we go. Very crowded movie, the first Superman film. Oh, it was so crowded. Really, really crowded. So let's go through. Now, it's hard to imagine that they'd have some sort of threat where Lex Luthor needed to be taken out of prison and put on a supersuit, and the Justice Gang wouldn't also show up. Where are they? There's Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner, and Hawk Girl. I mean, some people like Hawk Girl. I'd be okay with swapping out Hawk Girl and Metamorpho. They were fine, but we need some other people in here. But I mean, where would they go? I mean, that's kind of a situation where, I mean, could James Gunn already have a problem, like when we watch a Marvel movie and we go, how are not more Avengers helping out with this problem? This seems like a really big problem, and how are all the Avengers not showing up? I think that was a big problem for Thunderbolts, where they were in frickin' New York City, no less, and everybody was like, where are the Avengers? Or even Spider-Man. That happened when people were watching Daredevil. And people were like, where's Spider-Man? I mean, they mentioned him, but where was he? So I don't know. Are we stuck with the Justice Gang now forever? And then also, I think everybody likes Mr. Terrific, obviously. But I mean, at the same time, you want the movie to seem fresh, right? I think you should bring in new characters. But then how do you explain these? Maybe they're off doing something else. As they do establish in Superman, there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. That's why you need so many superheroes. So, although I would think some kind of threat to the Earth would be something that would be all hands on deck. Did Isabella Merced confirm that she's in the sequel? Well, maybe she just has a contract for the sequel. They don't have to necessarily use that option. That's the thing. You can sign on for multiple movies, but they don't have to use you. But they do have you locked in at a certain salary. That's why they do it. But yeah, I would love to see Jon Stewart, honestly. And although then when DC, remember how hard it's worked for Disney and Marvel to bring characters from the streaming service to the movies. But they're still all in on Yelena. Although they made that decision a long time ago. Although, I mean, Natasha never got that kind of love, which annoys me a little bit, but thankfully I love Yelena. Hold on, we've moved over to Marvel. We're talking about DC. All right, Lois obviously will be back, right? So Lois will be there for sure. And then Lex. I think and Jimmy? I don't know. Do we want more Jimmy? I guess so. I guess you're going to have all of the Superman core characters and Krypto. Although he could be off with Supergirl. We don't know for sure. But yeah, I would like to swap out the super characters. I just don't want it to always be the same group. So, I would swap them out. I guess that could be another poll. Yeah, Livewire could be at the prison. She could be at Belle Reve. I would love them. I'd love it. Oh my God. I would love it when Clark Kent, if he goes to visit Lex and Belle Reve, that there are a lot of other cameos from not just maybe Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, but maybe we get a glimpse at some other villains. Even just a lightning bolt would make me so freaking happy. Where's Star Labs, by the way? Let's get Star Labs in here. Do you want a new supporting cast of supers? Yes. No. And then keep some. Swap others. All right. Ooh, Ace Royal Flush Gang would be fantastic. Did anybody watch the Honest trailers for Superman? I thought they did a really good job with that. I thought they were very funny. Well, if you bring Mr. Terrific back, you don't want him to become a Superman sidekick, right? I'd much rather he get his own show. Ella Purnell as Livewire is pretty good casting, actually. That's excellent casting, because she does the voice in Arcane of Jinx, so she could do that kind of a character. That's a great idea. I like that. Who said Lex and the Engineer had an affair? I don't believe that. Hold on, we're not at the Q&A just yet. Would I be happy if the Creature Commandos showed up in Peacemaker? Yes, I would. I'm glad that it occurred to me that might be what it is, because it manages my expectations. And I did hear that one Lex... Well, we'll see what happens. I would watch Peacemaker if I were you. I mean, you can wait to binge until episode 6 is going to drop, but you should tune in for the last 3 episodes of Peacemaker, just because James Gunn has said, they're going to be such a big deal. Oh, that's right. That's right, Karen. People do want the Eagly and Krypto crossover. All right, I think we're ready for that. Let me close this poll in just a moment. We'll do the Q&A, because you guys are now just asking me Q&A questions. I'll give it one more moment. I'll leave the chapter times up if you want to reference them. Okay, close the poll. All right, so 47% of you want to keep some, swap others. 41% want a whole new cast of supporting supers, and 11% want to stick with. I think 11% is who's watching Peacemaker. No, maybe it's doing really well. We don't know. We'll know soon, though, because now when Peacemaker Season 1 came out, there was no proof because Max was not participating in Nielsen at that point. So this time, though, they did. So we'll get some numbers on Peacemaker. Luckily for Peacemaker, the bottom of the originals chart on Nielsen is so freaking low, there's a very good chance it'll still chart. Okay, here we go. We'll do 15 minutes of Q&A because this is such a big story and there are so many of you in the chat because I opened it up to subscribers. I'm enjoying Peacemaker very much. This week's episode, good stuff. Can Harley be in the Justice Gang? Oh, that's a good point, Danny. You know, in the comics, Harley has become a good guy. Harley fights with the good guys at this point. She's with Birds of Prey, ironically. She sometimes fights with Batman. I think that's fascinating. You know, you could do that. I'm hoping to review Wednesday. I mean, my day is slipping away from me. Let's see here. Do I think Supergirl will be in this movie? That's another good question. They didn't put her in the photo, and her movie is coming up. So, let's see. Lex did have an affair with the engineer? What's going on with Lex, man? Why would there be? I saw no evidence of that in the movie. Let's see here. Wanda's attorney says, hey, Grace, I'm so excited for the sequel. I know it's crowded, but would this film be a good opportunity to introduce the new Wonder Woman? Oh, well, no, you don't want to do an exact duplicate of Batman v Superman, and I'd much rather see Batman show up here, to be honest with you. I think that's what people are more interested in. Did I miss a super chat? I'll go back and see if I can still see it. If you asked a super chat really early, oh, it's gone. You gotta time the super chats just right. Sorry, Nintendard. Let's see here. I'm only answering DC questions. Selkovis clarified that it's not Superman 2. Then why is it called Man of Tomorrow with Superman and Lex Luthor in it? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, is it like a Justice League movie and Lex Luthor is somehow involved? But then why would he say Man of Tomorrow? He didn't just have the photo with the date. That's weird. But whatever, he's the head of DC. We have to go along with whatever he says. He's like, it's not Superman 2, and we have to go, okay. Maybe he means they're not going to call it Superman 2. All right, hold on. I see I missed something there. All right. So, Lovely Sick says, I want a better suit, a more revealing one, something for the gays. You mean for Superman? I don't know. I've kind of come to like his suit. I mean, he could like work out a little bit. We could have a scene with him working out. But I don't know. I think it works with David Corenswet's version of the character. I think you're more likely to see Lex Luthor shirtless than you are. He's like, oh, that'd be so fun if he was like, oh, Superman, I didn't realize I hadn't changed yet into my super suit. Whoopsie. Let's see here. No, Wary, I want a Batman post-credit scene. Maybe Batman and Wonder Woman. Oh, Keneal, I watch my screeners on a TV. Just like I would if I was watching the show. David says, what is the point of a Clayface movie? Well, I think they want to keep DC characters out there. They want to, and I think they're trying with different levels of cost. It's a very inexpensive movie. That's something Marvel's never done. Even Marvel's shows are expensive. So let's see if DC can make a successful movie for under $50 million. That would be a real game changer. RP says maybe Lex Luthor is the Man of Tomorrow. He's not. If James Gunn was making a Lex Luthor movie, I would laugh, and then I'd be like, let him cook. Boy, things sure worked out well for Nicholas Hoult, didn't they? You're talking about a man who has missed out on every major casting for like a decade. He's been the bridesmaid and not the bride. Not even the bridesmaid. He hasn't been in the wedding party. He just auditions and auditions and auditions. He even auditioned for Superman and didn't get it. But finally, he has something that's worked out. X-Men Superfan says, do you think Ratcatcher 2 or The Bride is the best female character that Gunn has written? Neither one. I think Lois Lane is the best female character he's ever written. He did a wonderful job with Lois. But I do like both those other characters, by the way. I like Ratcatcher 2 and The Bride. Denzel says, how about Steel for the sequel? Well, I don't know what you would need Steel for if Lex is in a super suit, because Steel is in a super suit. So we can't have everybody in a super suit. Oh, somebody's used their chat for a birthday wish. That's very sweet. Let me see here. Christopher says, happy birthday to my friend Juke, who introduced me to you many, many years ago. I don't know if that's a typo on the name, but that's so sweet of you. Happy birthday to your friend, and thank you for him giving you an introduction to my videos. No more Starro. I don't want any more Starro. JC says, do you think he has given up on building to DC? No, I think he is building to DCU, for sure. I just think it's going to take him a little bit longer. Theater Kid, a lot is riding on Supergirl. It's too early for them to have a bad movie. Lila, I don't know if I'll make a video about Clayface set pics. I haven't seen any of those. I guess because it's been the holiday weekend, but I've missed all the Clayface set photos. Everybody's like, what if it's a Luthor point of view? I gotta tell you, that's funny, and maybe it would be a good streaming show, but I can't see anybody paying money for a movie where Lex Luthor is the lead. I mean, if we're gonna try it, we'll try it, and I'll be open to it as a comic book fan, but I think that's like a really bad idea. Lobo could maybe show up. Oh, Tillman doesn't want to see them partner up. But I mean, where could they go from where they are? I mean, I think that they played out the whole Lex and Superman relationship in the movie, right? I mean, like, and it was beautifully played out, you know, like the conversation they have in the third act instead of a fight. I think that's pretty funny, you know, but I thought it was a good conversation. So I don't know where else to take the Batman. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know where else to take the Superman and Lex Luthor relationship, but a partnership. And they partner up in All-Star Superman. So I think that has to be the next place to go. I think it would just seem repetitive. If you're not going to take a break from Lex Luthor with the next movie, I think they have to team up. Although that's right, Wanda's attorney said, could we do Connor Kent? Connor Kent, of course, is a clone not only of Superman, but of Lex Luthor. He's a mixing of their DNA. You know, I wouldn't do that in this movie, but that could be a post-credit scene. Although James Gunn is very against post-credit scenes, because he says it paints him into a corner. And then he'd have to do Superboy if he teased it. I don't know if they're going to pair up. That is my guess based on the artwork. But I honestly don't see where else the relationship could go. Unless they did World's Finest and Superman would team up. I mean, and Lex Luthor would then play off of the Joker. But I don't think that's going to happen, because then why would he be in a super suit? Helter Skelter said, odds that DC films outgrow Secret Wars in 2027. Maybe if you added them up. Oh, I guess in 2027, yeah, Secret Wars will either be a hugely successful, like $2 billion movie, or it'll be a horrible flop. I don't think there's an in-between for Secret Wars. Well, or yeah, I don't see that happening. Or Doomsday. And I think the Russo brothers are really good. They know what they're doing. I think they'll deliver. But that's not to say the DC movies won't also do well. AMC Nicole says, well, if it's David and Nate as Batman and Superman, who would you make as Diana? I like the casting list that I made. You know, I made a video right before Superman came out, and I still like the people that I came up with. Hold on. I'm I'm going back. I missed some super chats here. All right. Let's see here. Olive Earl says, how would you feel about a Batman reveal at the end of Clayface? I don't think they're going to reveal a new Batman before the Batman Part 2 comes out. I mean, that would just, why do that? And James Gunn now has his own thing to focus on. Let's see. That's right, Liam. The first Joker was made for very little money, and it was a really big deal, and then they ruined it. But yeah, I think maybe they're hoping Clayface could be like a mini Joker. It's not going to be the level of Joker. I wonder if they think deep down it will be another Joker. That's ridiculous, particularly with who they cast. Emerald Warlock says we really need fantastical Batman with poison eye. I've never thought I don't want like Jinky's Batman, you know, like Scooby-Doo, like that kind of a thing. I worry about that. Batman's supposed to feel very different than Superman. I really don't like this idea of like a sillier Batman. That makes me really nervous. Oh, that's right, Mystic. Mantis is also a very well-written female character from James Gunn. And I don't really think Nebula has written I don't think James Gunn has written Nebula particularly well. I think she was well written in the Russo brothers movies. Oh no, the air conditioning. One second. All right, sorry about that. It almost went on. Oh, it did go on. It's going to go off in a second. All right. I thought it was so cool today. I didn't think that would be an issue. All right. I'm sorry if you can hear that. There we go. All right, it went off. Okay. Let's see here. Keneal says maybe Gunn will focus on other heroes that are being influenced by Superman and they all fight Luthor. No. I don't think that would be right. Let's see. Muma says, what about Poison Ivy in a near future film? I think that, when Harley returns, Poison Ivy will return because they've just become so popular together. Oh, hey, VJ, thanks for staying up with all of us at 2:30 a.m. where you are. And it's almost Jose's birthday. That's fantastic. My Proto says, I don't understand how people want an Emmy-nominated show like Penguin to be in a universe where kaijus and metahumans exist. It makes no sense to me. Well, so what? So these movies, so Superman, none of those movies can be good? I mean, Black Panther is Oscar-nominated, and that still fits in the world. Let's see here. I mean, Batman, I think if anything, it plays up that Batman is at a disadvantage when going against this other space. Clayface is DCU. Yes, that's right, Verdant. Clayface is a James Gunn-verse movie, even though Matt Reeves is making it, which is why it's so freaking confusing and ridiculous. Who said that? Who said Nicholas Hoult was popular? Okay, Walton. Oh, I get what you're saying. You're saying if you made it a Lex Luthor movie, you would see why Nicholas Hoult can't get a leading role. I agree with that. I think one of the things that hurt Superman's box office was they didn't have an older star in the Lex Luthor role, and then they went with Nicholas Hoult. As much as I love him in the role. Aceto says, Grace, does DC have a version of Wiccan that you can get excited for? I don't really know about like a magic user, but they do have some really fantastic characters. I can't think of someone off the top of my head, I'm sorry to say. X-Men Superfan says, I think you like the Suicide Squad because it has the found family X-Men vibe of underdogs and the message about, with Ratcatcher. Well, I'm really glad that you like that movie so much. Clarion the Witch Boy. He's going to be awfully disappointed when he looks Clarion up. That's funny. Zatanna, no, I think he's looking for an LGBT character, I would assume. So Zatanna is a magic user, but that's not the, I mean, if you were telling me you were looking for a Wanda parallel, I would maybe mention her. Prime says, any opinion on the fandom wars now that Superman's theatrical run is ending? Superman, James Gunn's DC isn't going anywhere for at least 2 years. And it would be really nice to see DC in a good place. I mean, I really liked the Superman movie. It's not a perfect place, but I think that it's stronger than Marvel right now. And I think that comic book fans, the comic book genre, and Hollywood need successful franchises to be working. And so let's give it, I think, the benefit of the doubt and hope that the few problems that still are there get fixed. JC, I liked the Superman movie so much. It just totally changed my opinion on everything. JC says, if he is building DCU, do you think he has changed from... I think Gods and Monsters makes no sense. I think that it didn't make sense when it was announced. Like when he said, Gods and Monsters, and showed us the outline, we were all like, I don't see no gods and monsters. I mean, I guess it's the heroes and the villains to a degree because they have superpowers. But I would not put names on stuff. I mean, doing phases and the multiverse saga over at Marvel really has bitten them in the butt. I mean, I think James Gunn's new instinct to just release stuff, I think is a better idea. He's very reluctant to let anything go. So I'm sure if one of you goes over and says, are we still doing Gods and Monsters? He'll say yes. But I think even he's abandoned it in his mind. Oh, Brandon says, people say fantastic Batman, they mean like sci-fi with science villains and peak human fighting. But then how would Batman possibly take on somebody who had superpowers? So... I've seen Brave and the Bold, the animated series. Did not care for it, Deadpool variant. I thought it was pretty awful. That's not my Batman. Oh, Soup Castle says, what do you think the bigger story within the DCU could be? Honestly, I think they're very far away from that because they don't even have a Batman and I don't even have a Wonder Woman. So they're really far away, from being able to do anything like that. They have a lot of time left. Let's see. And then Ben Golding says, I think that's why trying to create an overarching universe like Marvel has doesn't work for DC because there's too many different vibes. Well, you're going to have to eventually do a Justice League story. There's just no way around it. But they have a lot to do before they get there. And I wouldn't rush it. I don't know how they're going to fix this Batman problem. This Batman problem is really bad. And they really need to fix it. All right, so we did a longer Q&A, a little bit longer. I did 20 minutes of Q&A. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. It was very fun to cover a breaking news story. And so Conjuring review later today. Paper review tomorrow, Peacemaker breakdown tomorrow evening. There will be a live stream tomorrow as well. So I'm just catching up after the holiday. Oh, happy birthday, D Avenger. Congrats. Happy birthday to you as well. Okay, again, Bobcat, did Aaron Pierre tease that he's in it, or did he just say he was excited about it? Because, I would love for him to be in it. Although he's also in Star Wars now, which I don't love. I think you got to stick to your universe. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye-bye.